and understands you? At what point does it matter that your dentist looks like you and understands you? What point is for you to have t-shirts and pants and shoes from somebody who loves you, from somebody who wants you to buy from them, from someone who's local? Is that not the most revolutionary thing that we can do? I beg to differ, baby. I think it is. I want to give a huge shout out to the men that are interactive with not only their children, but sometimes stepchildren or children of your girlfriend. I want to say for 5 seconds, this has been heavy on my heart, but thank you for the work that you do. Thank you for being that father figure. And I don't know if you understand how important your role is. If no one has ever told you thank you, I'm telling you that, listen, all of the eye rolls, all of the huffing and puffing, we need that. Our babies need that. Yesterday, I was thinking upon a conversation that I had with my grandmother, and I'm 33 years old. My grandmother called me the other day and cussed me out about my kids. And it wasn't anything bad. And it wasn't anything that was demeaning or made me, feel like a horrible parent or made me look like a horrible parent. It wasn't anything. It was just, an improvement could be made, Tayla. And this improvement could be made if you pay attention to X, Y, Z. And I want to say in a snap judgment, I was like, yo, this little lady don't talk to me like I ain't grown. I'm grown. You know the little boy in the video with no shirt on in the Coca-Cola? I'm grown. That's how I felt. But then it took for me to be an adult for a second and to say, you know what? This is exactly what's wrong with society today. Is the fact that when somebody tries to correct you, when someone tries to right your wrong, we don't ever just take it as, all right, constructive criticism. Let me see how I can be better. We always take it negatively. We always feel like you don't have the right to say anything to me. Like, who are you to talk to me? Don't talk to my children like that. Don't talk to me like that. We need that as an adult. And I think upon, different instances where elders would say something to my mother and she, yes, ma'am. Yes, it doesn't matter what was said. Yes, ma'am. Could you imagine if today's society worked in those constructs? Just a little bit. That's why Anari Nasari is in Birmingham, Alabama right now. I called him last night. I said, Anari. He said, yes, ma'am. I said, whew, it worked. Every summer, I'll see you in Alabama. But as far as news is concerned, before the news, I just wanted to say thank you to the fathers. Thank you to the men. Thank you, and shout out to the moms too, that are, those aren't your biological children. I don't think we understand how important it is for our role. Even though it might not have a title attached to it, we still have a role in that child's life. And more than anything, they need rearing. They need that discipline. They need that oversight. Because right now we have too many children that don't know nothing about nothing, but think they know everything and are walking this world with no knowledge. No knowledge of self, no knowledge of their surroundings, no knowledge of anything. Because there's nobody in the household to teach them. So thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. If nobody in that house appreciates you, baby, I'm telling you, thank you. Someone will appreciate you later on in life. You hated your mama and daddy at one time too, that now you appreciate everything they ever did for you. Damn, thank you for whooping my ass. Who would I be today if you didn't whoop my ass? Thank you. Illegal in Massachusetts, asking your salary in a job interview. It is now illegal in a groundbreaking effort to close the wage gap between men and women. Massachusetts has become the first state to bar employers from asking about applicants' salary before offering them the job. So next time, if they ask you what's your salary, your former salary, you can put $1 million, because it really don't matter. Don't ask me about me, boo, in the state of Massachusetts. So if you're applying outside of the state, please know that just because you live in the state of Massachusetts, it has to be for a job that you're applying for in Massachusetts. The new law will require hiring managers to state a compensation figure up front based on what the applicant's worth is to the company, rather than on what he or she made in a previous position. The bipartisan legislation signed into law on Monday by Governor Charlie Baker, a Republican, is being pushed as a model for other states as the issue of men historically out-earning women who do the same job has leaked into the nation's political scene. Nationally, there have been repeated efforts to strengthen equal pay laws, which are already on the books but tend to be lax. We have all these laws, baby. We have all these ordinances. What we don't have is what we were just talking about. Our children need, some of these adults need oversight. There's no oversight. And that goes for the city of Boston, too. That goes for all of the ordinances we have on the books, and y'all aren't making any efforts to make sure that people adhere to them. That's neither here nor there. I'll go ahead and put my soapbox down. But y'all know how I feel about that nonsense. In other news, Lord have mercy. 3/4 of white people don't have any non-white friends. 3/4 of 4/4 don't have others as friends. What's funny about this is I learned this back in college. It was an article about Republicans and how Republicans don't have many friends of diversity, and how Democrats will be friends with, any country, any continent, any nationality, any color, any creed. But when it came to Caucasians, they had like one black friend, one Asian friend, and one other friend. And then, 98% of their other friends were Caucasian. And there is it's like a little bar graph. It says the average white American has 91 white friends, one black friend, one Latino, one Asian, one mixed, one other, and three friends of a race unknown. And the average black American has 83 black friends, 8 white friends, 2 Latino friends, no Asian friends, 3 mixed race friends, 1 other race friend, and 4 unknown raced people. Of course, people are going to work with people that they're friends with, but we need to step our Asian game up, y'all. I'm so serious. I said it. I sure did. Y'all need to step your Asian game up. And I don't feel like I fall into this category because ZC Boston's owner is Asian. That's why I said it's a minority-owned business. And I consider him my friend. So I'm one of my Asian friends. Get you some diversity in your life, baby. And I mean that across the board. It doesn't even have to be black, white, Mexican. It could be whatever. Ugandan. Learn about Uganda. Learn about the country. Learn about the language. Learn about the food. If anything, just be greedy like me and learn about food. That's why I love everybody. I don't care what nationality you are, what religion you are, what color you are, what creed you are. What kind of food do your people eat? I'm a foodie all day. So I enjoy culture. I enjoy different types of foods. I enjoy different types of languages. I enjoy culture as a whole, and understanding that even though we are all the same, we're all different at the same time. We all have beef patties. Every country has a beef patty. Jamaicans. Well, I don't think Americans have beef patties. That's probably like hamburger. But Creoles we don't really have beef. We have fish patties. Spanish people, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans have empanadas or patalitos. It's all the same thing. Africans, they have a bomb flaky crust. I don't even know what the name of it is, but I need you guys to just up on your diversity. Because once you increase your diversity in your friends, you increase your diversity in your opportunities. You increase your diversity in traveling the world. You increase your diversity in just living life and seeing life in a whole different spectrum. When you have somebody else's, experiences, living vicariously, through someone else's experience, it's like reading a book. You're able to go to another place without even actually going there, by having friends that are full of diversity, that can tell you about all of these places that they've gone, that they've lived, that they've been to, the food that they've eaten, the scenery that you can only imagine. We have to do better. All of us, not just the white people that have 91 friends, one black friend, one Latino friend, one Asian friend, one mixed race, one other race, and 3 friends of an unknown race, while the average black American has 83 black friends, 8 white friends, 2 Latino friends, 0 Asians, get up on your Asian game, 3 mixed race, 1 other race, and 4 friends of an unknown race. We got to do better, do better. Portland ends its pilot program, allowing homeless to sleep on the streets undisturbed by police after backlash. The safe sleeping guidelines policy will end immediately. It allowed homeless people to unroll a sleeping bag or unfurl a tarp between 9 p.m. and 7 a.m. on city sidewalks, also allowing camping in some specific areas of the city. When Hales announced in February, it drew immediate criticism. So Portland has announced this so-called safe sleeping guidelines policy, which will end immediately. The safe sleep policy was well-intended, but it created a lot of confusion and maybe some accidental or deliberate misunderstandings, said the mayor, Charles Hale. It was never intended to be legalized street camping, and that's what some people took it as. Hales has walked a fine line in trying to address a growing problem with homelessness in the Pacific Northwest city while appeasing homeowners and businesses. His struggles mirror those in other West Coast cities such as Seattle and San Francisco, where politicians have grappled to address a tide of homelessness. Also, I want to address the fact that what this article is not saying, but what needs to be said is while there is a huge influx of homelessness, not just in individuals and drug addicts and alcoholics and veterans, but increase of homelessness across the board because so many people cannot afford to live. It's 2016 and you have to make $100,000 in order for you to live, not even comfortably, but still making ends meet. Talk to some of these teachers that make $118,000 after taxes. It's a good 72, and then after you pay all your bills, you might have a couple thousand and put in the bank. And you might have a little 401k that you can tap into, but that's penalized and taxed as well. We have problems here in this country because we have politicians that are in the 1 percentile making all the money, corporations that are in bed with our politicians giving them some more money, and they're not thinking about the actual constituents that voted them into their position. Listen, remember, you didn't have that job before I gave it to you. And that's how we have to start acting as citizens. That's how we have to start acting as the voting body. I gave you your job, B. When I call you, you pick up. Tayla, that's kind of arrogant. Like, how are you not going to talk to your politician like that? Tayla, that's rude. Then label me rude, call me rude. But when I pay good money out of my taxes, whether I like to or not, and it comes straight out, I don't get to ask questions. I don't get to negotiate. It just comes straight out. You don't need to ask questions. You don't need to negotiate. We need to sit down because we have problems and I want solutions. Y'all need to start getting cocky with your tax money. Get cocky when it comes to your child's school. Get cocky when it comes to your education. Get cocky when it comes to your public transportation. Get cocky when it comes to the roads and the speed, not the speed bumps, those potholes. Get cocky when it comes to all of these issues because you have every right to. When that money comes out of your pocket, there is no reason why you are not following that dollar. And I mean literally. Follow that dollar. Find out where your tax money is really going to. Hold your politicians' feet to the fire. There's a story. Hold on. There's a story that I wanted to read. Trump's Taj Mahal casino shut down after suffering crippling losses in a record-long strike by workers. When 3,000 workers came together to strike, when you don't have any workers, what are you going to do? When you can't sell any products, what are you going to do? When no one's buying your products, what are you going to do? You do know that we have quality TV out here, KWELI.TV, which is the same as Netflix, but it's the black Netflix. We have Negus, Negus, Negus shoes. They have sneakers, they have sandals, they have boots, they have men, women's, and children's. You can't sit here and give me excuses when there are solutions to our problems. It's one of the things I've been telling the kids for years. Whenever I'm already trying to give me an excuse, I don't want to hear your excuses. Find me a solution. Find me a solution. And I feel like this is how we need to start treating our politicians. The same way we treat our children, we need to, there goes that word again, there goes oversight. Just like our children need oversight, just like sometimes as adults we need oversight from our elders, our politicians, which get paid from us out our pockets, literally, these police officers, these firefighters get paid from you out your pocket. These EMS workers get paid from you out your pocket. If you don't want any control over that, that's fine. But baby, I want all control over my dollars. I deserve that. And that's how I want you to be. When Trump is losing right now, he's losing. I don't know who's doing what spell casting, what prayers being said, what incantations are being made. And to me, for those who don't know, I believe that all three of those are one and the same, whether it's you believe in voodoo, whether you believe in Christianity, or whether you believe in Buddha, Allah, Krishna, or the sacred cows of India. Whatever it is that you believe in, that's perfectly fine. But to me, for me, a prayer, an incantation, and a spell is one of the same things in three different languages. But I digress. I don't know what's going on with Trump, but he's losing right now. And I'm dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Trump's Taj Mahal Casino is shutting down after suffering crippling losses in record-long strike by workers. You just got to hold out, baby. You just have to hold out. You just have to hit them where it hurts, and that is in the pocket. That is financially. You want answers? You want solutions? Stop putting your money where your mouth is. Stop complaining on Facebook. Put your money where your mouth is. Yesterday, I found a paper towel, plastic glove, tissue, toilet tissue, and cleaning products business. Black owned. Toilet paper, paper towels, gloves, and cleaning products. Oh, and trash bags. But I'm thinking to myself yesterday, where do we have to put all of this stuff? We don't own bodegas. We know who own bodegas. That's why they call bodegas. We don't have any little corner stores. What corner stores? Because there's only in bulk. You can only buy the trash bags in bulk. You can only buy the paper towels in bulk. Now, the tissue you can buy individually for your household. But with that being said, where can we put these bulk items? Where can we sell these bulk items? I was having this problem when Queens of Africa doll. Do you remember about a year and a half ago when we interviewed Taufik? And he was talking about, we can have them in Africa. We can have them in America, ship them from Africa. Do you have a store to put them in? We don't. What store we have? We don't have a store to put them in. These are the things that are important. 617-282-0062. Good rising, caller, you live.
Hello.
Good rising.
I'm Miss G. How are you?
Hey, Miss G, how you doing, baby? Happy birthday.
Thank you so much. What's happening is Donald Trump. His mouth is too big, and I call it karma. Karma. He's throwing out a lot of hate, and I think it's coming back.
Hallelujah. Ashay. Thank you.
All right. I was up late last night. I went down to City Hall for our TaylaMade concert last night.
Oh, how was that?
Oh, it was great. It was great. And Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes are coming down there on the 24th. So we went down. We're all coming from our building, going down.
Say that again, Miss G. Who's coming?
Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Bing. Okay, I got you, Miss G. I got you.
They used to be the backup singers for Teddy Pendergrass.
Mm-hmm. I know who they is. I ain't that young.
Okay. All right. I'll talk with you. I have to take my medicine.
Yes, ma'am. I love and appreciate you. I hope you have an amazing day today.
Thank you. You also.
All right. Good rising, Big City 101.3 FM, waking up with TaylaAndre, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. We were wrapping up the news. We currently have a caller on the line. We have an amazing power hour for you. Good rising, caller, you're live.
Good morning, Taylor. As far as storage, every African American community has two things: salons and churches. And most churches have, if you don't have a function hall, they have a huge basement. Why not teach the people about economics? Instead of waiting for Jesus to come to deliver them, we can start building some economic wealth. As far as your other thing about diversity and having white friends, our people need to distinguish between associates and friends. We have a lot of white associates, but they don't have white friends. White friends get together and they do stocks together. They invest in property together. If you ain't making money with your white friends, you don't have white friends. You have white associates.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nubian. You don't have to agree with him, but you definitely can call 617-282-0062. Love and appreciate you, Papa. I hope you have an amazing day.
You too.
If you don't agree, you can call me 617-282-0062, 617-282-0062. Good rising. Hello, good rising, darling.
This would be Lionel calling.
Hey, yes! Okay, so for those who do not know, we have Lionel on the line, or Lionel, depending on where you're calling from. He is absolutely amazing, probably one of the favoriteest guests in the whole wide world over the last 2 years. Lionel, how are you doing, my love? Lionel.
My mistake. Lionel. And there's Lionel, which rhymes with vinyl. And I don't really care how I say it.
How are you, though? Listen, I've been paying attention to your Twitter. If you are on Twitter, if you're on Facebook, Lionel is on everything. It's Lionel Media for you to just go to the website and find out everything about him, because he has been everywhere. He is one of the realest political figures out here, and he's not even in politics. He's in media. But Lionel, I would love to see what it would look like if you ran for any office.
Well, the first thing that would happen was if I ran, I would have to have a recount and resign because frankly, I don't think anything can be done politically today. It's like it is so contaminated. If you want to have an effect on any institution, the best way to silence you is let you in the institution, let you there. If you want to change the way the school board is in Boston, don't join the school board. You just become part of the infection. It doesn't work that way. And I pick a school board. It could be anything. But I wanted to say something. First of all, I wanted to, just before we begin here, this is a personal note. I am so proud of you. I've never met you. I mean, over the phone we have. But I'm looking at your stream, I sound like a urologist. I'm looking at what you posted and what you said, and it is so atypical. And you must be getting a lot of grief because you don't fit into any mold. And most of the grief that you will be getting is from people who don't understand what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. I'm sure friends of yours and family have said, that Tayla, I don't know. You know how she gets. I don't know what she's talking about. Where did she go wrong? Because you don't spout any of the party lines for any party. Anything. And I love that. Am I right about this?
You are absolutely. Listen, this started, I would have to say it's always been embedded and ingrained in me. But I want to say that when my daughter was breastfeeding and she no longer wanted breast, she wanted something else. I started learning about milk and what's in milk and how milk is produced. And this was back in 2000, and she was born in 2005. This was back in 2006, 2007. And this is when I started learning and started waking up and started, wiping off my first eye and said, hold on, this is not normal. This can't be life. And it was reality.
Let's take that for one moment, just because any subject, if you spend any amount of time on it, and you peel away the layers of the onion, it's fascinating. You mentioned breast milk. The most beautiful thing that I can think of, that I have seen, that just, I'm not a weepy person, but as close as I get, is when I see a mother breastfeeding their child. You know, I don't really say that tastefully. Say that. There's nothing distasteful about nature, but it is so absolutely beautiful. Forget the oxytocin, how it's so critical after woman gives birth. It causes the uterus to contract. It's the immune the agents that are transferred, the bonding, but it's so rudimentarily human. And also the way we celebrate the breast today in this primitive, surgical. We take a normal woman, just normal, she's born, and you're saying, you look like this, and this is you. You look like this. This is based upon years and years and generations of your family, your ethnicity, you're a tall family, a small family, you're dark-skinned, light-skinned, red-haired, blonde-haired, and your morphology, your physiognomy, you look like this. And your breast size, this is perfect for you. You're not in any way deformed. You're not unnatural. This is you, and it was designed by, if you want, God, for one reason and one reason only. It was a lactation delivery device. Nipples are not there to be pierced, to have lactation ducts, scarred. It was never intended for you to fillet open a woman's chest, pack it. My wife and I'm addicted, I'm sorry to say, to this show, Botched. And I see these women who just risk anesthesia. Make a long story short. So instead of us celebrating that, no, number one, we hate breastfeeding. There's always a story about some woman kicked out of a theater who was breastfeeding. Somebody took offense to that. And no matter how discreet she is, now listen, sometimes women are a little, you've met the earth mom, the hippie types who figure, you know what, I'm a mom and that's it. Blah. Okay, maybe I can understand somebody being a little bit, taken aback by it. But we are so infantile when it comes to, forget politics, forget geopolitical strategies, breastfeeding. We have these weird psychosexual hang-ups about a baby being fed. And we take this system that God or nature prevents and we destroy it because it doesn't address it enough. Now forget, mammoplasty because of reconstructive surgery and all, that's a different story. I don't mean to go off on that. But you mentioned just breastfeeding. How is this country to understand the intricacies of this election if they can't handle breastfeeding in the human body? And you mentioned milk. Let me just say this unequivocally. No human should drink milk or consume dairy, period, unless you're a calf, which would mean you're not a human. There's just no reason for this. Tayla, do you know why milk is so good for a calf? Do you know what it does? What the intention of it for a calf? You ever thought about this?
Of course I did. That big ass animal needs to get bigger, and so it's fed a whole bunch of fat.
Exactly. Once you look at casein, also is this protein which is linked to cancer. Read Colin Campbell, the China study. Dairy is horrible. So you have this milk for a calf. And it is designed by God or nature to make this animal grow real fast. And when things make the body grow fast, not everything that's good grows fast. That's why when I see men in their 50s who have heavily vascularized biceps, and I know they're taking human growth hormone or steroids, I'm thinking, you fool, you are taking dormant cancers that would have never, ever, developed into anything. And you're now feeding them to grow because the body doesn't know when that trigger to grow is for good things or bad things. Tumors say, hey, we're on board. So you're giving it to humans, this substance, which is designed to make a calf grow exponentially, and you expect there to be no health problems? But we're so into this. A glass of milk, cookies and milk before you go to bed, dairy, cheese. Ooh, I like my cheese, pizza, mozzarella, cheese with cheese. And I don't want to destroy an industry or farmers or whatever it is, but are you? We shouldn't be eating
baffled.
it.
He's baffled. I'm so glad Lionel, I'm so glad you said that because that was my exact thoughts. And from there, I was never a milk drinker. I always thought I was lactose intolerant because I couldn't stand the taste of milk or the smell of it or any of it. I currently drink almond milk.
That's what I have. Almond milk, there's rice, there's hemp, there's soy.
Everything.
And soy, you gotta keep an eye on that one too as well.
Because of the genetically modified, soy is one of the genetically modified.
If you look up the
crops.
insulin growth like hormone, that is, by the way, let me give you, if I could, I want everybody listening to have this one website, which is absolutely the most wonderful website for plant-based. I am plant-based. I don't want to say vegan, because vegan has this strange connotation of weird people, because many of them are. And they annoy me. But there's a website, it's nutritionfacts.org. Nutritionfacts, F-A-C-T-S, nutritionfacts.org. It's Dr. Michael Greger, G-R-E-G-E-R. Just look at this. This will
I don't drink soy.
destroy you. May I say something right off the bat?
Go ahead.
I were present.
Go ahead, baby.
Here's what I would do. One of the things. About 7 years ago, I went plant-based because I had an epiphany. I used to call it vegan, but it's not really vegetarian. No dairy, no eggs, no butter, no nothing. No, just plant-based. Now, there is a genocide going on. I don't use that word lightly or too strongly, but among the normally poorer, urban, African American, Latino, but in a certain
breast
pocket,
milk and then food.
especially
Our kids
African
don't
American,
need milk.
rate of hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, blindness, renal failure, and just mobility. The obesity rate in the African American community compared to others, and we are such an obese, is through the roof. Do you know what I could do if I subsidized farmers markets, if I were to go, because a lot of folks can't, it's too expensive, there's got to be some kind of a tax benefit credit, something to encourage this, but to buy green, leafy, non-GMO, organic stuff that's not at the corner, that's able to be received. By the way, in New York, there's a wonderful initiative that allows people using EBT or on welfare or assistance to be able to buy food online. And somebody said, no, you can't do that. And the answer is that, no, they should, because sometimes you're unable to eat correctly. cut to the chase. If I could do this, just that, yes, I'm not talking about healthcare. I'm not talking about anything along those lines. I could drastically, just by cutting obesity alone, just by saying you have so many, you've got to learn how to re-eat. And it's the Latino, listen, I'm Sicilian and Puerto Rican, and I know how they do that. And I understand how this thing works. Because you're raised on lard and fried, and that's culture, and I dig it. And plus, it tastes good. Don't get me wrong. I love the stuff that I don't eat anymore. I mean, I watch YouTube videos on food like people watch porn. I'm serious. But just because it doesn't mean I should eat it. I'm from the South. I'm from Florida. Barbecue is it's a needed requirement. I smell it and I go crazy, but I haven't had it in 7 years, and that's okay. And I feel better. But if I could just drop obesity rates, let's just target African American communities alone. Do you know what I could do for diabetes? How many people do you know in your family, friends, neighbors, who are diabetic? How many do you know who've had amputations or blindness because of diabetes, or have kidney failure, or on dialysis?
Yeah.
How many do you know?
Yeah.
This is not normal. This is not environmental. This is not in the water. This is not government. This is what you're eating.
Hold on. But Lionel, I do have to disagree with you, though, because you said that it's not government. But when bills are being passed into law that it's not mandatory for packages and for labeling to say that your product is genetically modified, this product has XYZ or genetically modified organisms in it. Like, they don't have to label anything. They don't have to tell you you're eating cloned salmon. So that's a problem. When we have the FDA and Monsanto sleeping together, that is a problem.
Especially with Michael Taylor. Look, this is Obama's food czar who was with Monsanto. Let's not confuse our folks too much here. I'm going to tell people right off the bat, and if I could give my lectures, I would say, I'm going to make something very, very simple. We're going to start off with this concept. This has nothing to do with anything GMO. Stop frying. Let me just start with that. Very simple. No oil. Let me just start with that concept. And I look at you can eat all the GMOs you want, which I don't recommend, but let me start with that. Let me give you one of my favorite myths. And I love this. This is when I've been thinking something and repeating something all my life. And by the way, at Lionel Media, I do this all the time, and I drive, especially my Italian friends, crazy. And this guy, Gregor, at nutritionfacts.org, and others, backs it up. Here's the one for you. How many times do you remember when all of a sudden, when you would go to a restaurant, instead of bringing you butter, they would bring you a little saucer or something with olive oil. They pour olive oil on it.
Yes.
If your bread in olive oil, it was extra virgin olive oil. And you were told that it's good for you, that it's good fat, healthy fat, heart fat, good fat. Have you heard that one?
Of course I have.
That is monounsaturated. And because of here we go, drum roll, the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean diet. And they quote this all the time. You know, the Mediterranean diet. You know, the Mediterranean diet is proved, and the Harvard newsletters, Harvard studies, I mean, serious. We're talking organizations of renown who repeat the Mediterranean diet, because there's a thing called, you've heard memes, right? M-E-M-E?
Yes, those are my favorite learning tools.
Well, the meme is from Dawkins, Richard Dawkins. It's memetics. Memes are little packets of quanta of information that are passed on like chromosomes, like genetics. And trope is another good word. Another little, these little ideas, these morsels that are just passed on, folklore, myth, factoid. Many times you'll see on TV, people will confuse a fact with a factoid. A factoid is not a fact. It's not. It's something that provenance is a big question. We're not really sure if it's true or not. But one of our favorites is the Mediterranean diet. And people will say that. They'll just say it. And as they take their bread, and bread is good, by the way. I got news for you. Bread is good. The most important thing ever that man ever developed, ever. The man-made. Okay, now, the Mediterranean diet, by the way, here are the facts. In 1953, a guy named Ansel Keys came along, and he looked at
I love him. He's
the
just a wealth
Mediterranean.
of
Now, here's the first question most people should have,
randomness.
because Americans are not conversant at all in geography. What country? There are about 18 countries that border the Mediterranean. Israel, France, Italy. Where? What are we talking about? Where? Oh, I never thought about that. Well, it turns out it was Crete. That's where this started from. Crete. If they called it the Cretan diet, that doesn't sound good. But the Mediterranean diet sounds better. And what they did was they looked at Crete. And there's history. Don't forget what Tolstoy said. History would be a wonderful thing if only it were true. History will tell us that Crete was basically invaded, remember the air invasion by the Nazis, by the Germans, and basically taken over, and they took everything from the Cretans. It sounds terrible to say this because you think Cretan, you think, brain disease or cretinous, but they took everything. Livestock, food, they were starving. These people were starving. In 1953, about 8 years after World War II ended, roughly, they looked at these people. They walked 5 miles a day. The cars were, this is post-World War II. They were basically just coming back from starving. What did they eat? Plants, beans, peasant food, quote, unquote. There was no meat. None of that stuff, the luxury. And they noticed significant differences, drops in blood lipid levels, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So they never told you where it was. They never told you the circumstances of why the particular diet was the way it was. And they never told you the most important bit of information. How are the folks from Crete doing now after the Western diet has been introduced? Guess what? They're fatter and more unhealthy than Americans. And that's saying something. So out of that, now Tayla, think about this. Out of that thing, the Bertolli Olive Oil Company or whoever said, let's make this the olive oil diet. And olive oil sales went through the roof. And Ansel Keys said, I never said anything about olive oil. It was a little bit of wine, some nuts, little meat, mostly plants, beans, legumes, whole grain. That was it. That was the diet. But we didn't take it. We interpreted that somehow being, it's okay for olive oil. And that's where we are now. And I get into fights. I could say that Dick Cheney brought down Building 7 by himself, and I would get less of a reaction than if I said olive oil is not good for you. People go nuts with that because we have this understanding of we don't like to be shown as being stupid, number one. We hold on to myths like we do religion, politics, teens. You're a Red Sox fan. You hate the Yankees. You were told to hate the Yankees. You were raised ever since Babe Ruth, and that's it. And I don't want to talk about it. I mean, it's profoundly amazing to me. So that's one thing. That's the thing. When it comes to diet, every single day there's an obesity story. There's one today I just read online. That's Americans' obesity rates. Let me ask you another way, since you like nutrition. What's the best source for potassium? Quick.
Bananas.
Right. Gregor, watch him. He lists the best source of potassium. Bananas are like number 18 on the list. Maybe the Chiquita Banana Company got all of it. I don't know. He said, I don't know where, but there's potassium everywhere. Why bananas? But it doesn't matter. That's how we develop our folklore. We're you ever heard that we always talk about they, they broke into Tayla's house. They say, they did. It's always they. I don't know who they are, but if we can find out who they are, we can stop crime, we can stop this ridiculous dissemination of information. But they say, they say, and they prove that during a full moon, there are more 911 calls and emergency room visits than any other time. Have you heard that one?
I have never heard that.
The full moon. Oh, yeah. People will say, cops will tell you. Ambulance folks will tell you. I guarantee you ask anybody if you've ever heard this, and it's one of those wives' tales that we've heard our whole life. Nobody forgets to tell you that the moon's always there. If it's full, it's always full. It's there. Gravitationally, it's there. So is the sun. Number two, they affect tides. The moon affects tides, as does the sun. And the theory being that people say, well, we're 98% water, and that number varies, 92, 98, 99. People just throw out a number. And if the moon can affect the tide, then therefore it can affect the fluid in your body, and therefore, I guess, affect your...
Lionel, I just fell in love with you. I've been saying this for the longest time. The longest. And then Dr. Emoto, is that his name? The Asian doctor, Dr. Emoto, talked about how they put labels on water and then look at the crystals underneath the individual molecule of water. And if they put love or peace or happiness, it looked like a perfect snowflake. But like Hitler and devil and demon and hate, though it looked like a disease. Like there was no formation to it. And with us being I've heard 70%, 85%, 98%. I've heard a whole bunch of numbers as far as the makeup of percentage of water in the human body. But if the moon has that much power to control the ocean, we don't think for 5 seconds it has power to control us?
Here's the problem, though, and this is where people make a mistake. It's also the sun. It's the sun has the greatest effect. How the moon, because people have always said, when you hear things are lunar, normally we think of tides, we think of menstrual cycles. For example, if a woman were to get into a spaceship and leave any kind of gravitational effect of the moon, fly for light years away, would your period stop? The answer is no. No. Just because it's on a 30-day cycle doesn't mean it's the moon. It just means it may coexist. You know how many 30-day cycles there exist in the universe? Bees, wind, but going back to this, what the problem people miss, though, is that tides work in an open system. There's no such thing as a tide in a lake, in a glass of water, in a bathtub. You are in a closed system. Why would you have tides? It doesn't exist. Make a long story short, we just created that. And we just keep seeing it. We are no different than any other tribe throughout history who came up with mythology. When people say, these Egyptians, where the hell did they come up with this crazy mythology of this? Well, look at us. We make up stuff all the time. We make up stuff and believe things, and we never validate anything. We never care. We're becoming more and more incurious. Did you read recently, yesterday, I read where in today's younger folks, the kids, not the millennials, but even a little earlier than that, they're not having sex. They're not driving. They're not playing. Bars in New York are showing more and more, though you never guess by walking certain neighborhoods, but the younger people are not as interested in going out and meeting. They want to stay home, play with their devices and their gadgets. That's what they want. I'm the only one who is lauding Pokemon Go, because at least this kind of looks like playing when we were kids. They're out, even though they're not talking to each other. So we are awash in misinformation, mythology, absolute nonsense. And we started off by talking about food. If I could just, I'm going to send it to you. There's a great piece in the documentary talks about how soul food is killing people. And by the way, let me just say it again. I love that. But our food, and guess who's sitting back and ain't gonna tell you anything about this? Big pharma and doctors. You will never go to a doctor who takes out a prescription pad and writes out kale. Here, eat this. Eat this. You know that Dr. Ethelston actually reversed coronary artery disease through diet alone.
Do you know Dr. Sebi has cured AIDS, cancer, and a whole other list of ailments off of diet alone, and he was sued by the United States government for falsely putting out information that he could cure AIDS and he could cure cancer. And guess who won that suit? He sure did.
Well, I don't know anything about AIDS. See, I want everybody to learn these three words. I don't know. And be proud of that.
I don't know.
I don't know. A friend of mine and I were talking, he goes, I can't stand this rap, hip-hop. I said, do you know it? He said, no. Do you listen to it? No. I said, then you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I don't know anything about AIDS research, HIV protocols. I have no idea. All I know is that right now, if I could just listen to this very simple thing. If I could decrease obesity by just 10%, I will drastically drop the number of diabetes. See, diabetes, especially, again, in the African-American community, I don't want to keep picking. I want to be honest. This is, I mean, I'm an epidemiologist, kind of armchair. But it's almost become, well, have you been diagnosed with diabetes yet? How many people do you know have diabetes?
He said yes.
You're not supposed to have this. Adult onset, type 2. This is diet related. It's insulin resistant, and it's so easy. All right, make a long story short. We're not going to be talking about that. We're not going to be talking about geoengineering, chemtrails. I walked out one day, and when we look out of my window, I can see New Jersey and the Hudson River, and we're looking, and I'm talking with a friend of mine, I said, look at that. Because it was sunset, and you can really see them. You know what I mean, right?
Yes.
They call them chemtrails. That's a bad term. It's really geoengineering, solar radiation.
Yes, Lionel, yes. Tell the truth, Lionel. Tell it.
This is the one where you can grab your friend and say, you don't have to read. You don't have to do anything. Just look up. What does that look like to you? People say, oh, those are contrails. You know, condensation trail, water vapor from jets. You know, you've seen them. You know, when you're up high enough and the exhaust from a jet at that cool temperature, it's like when you blow during a cold Boston day, you breathe and you can see your breath. Now,
how long does it last
for a half an hour?
Thank you. Lionel, I want to hug you so bad because I can say this all day, but it sounds so amazing coming out of somebody else's mouth. When I remember being little and looking up into the sky and like, oh, they're here and they're gone. But now they crisscross each other. They make designs. You can read words. Like, it's ridiculous the amount of contrails, chemtrails, genetically modifying the atmosphere that we're currently doing, and there is no science on it, and anybody who comes out to speak out against it is labeled crazy.
Everybody listen to me, and you'll get one of the best comprehensive looks at this. Go to geoengineeringwatch.org.
I go to that website.
geoengineeringwatch.org. And just look at what climate engineering is. Learn about how you will be overwhelmed. Dane Wiggington is the founder of this. Just look at this. Don't just. But before you look at this, Let's just look up. Now, what are these things? And when you meet people who do this, Tayla, what they do is you've challenged them. You've said, here's something you don't know, dumbass, which is kind of the way they take it. They say, wow, those are condoms. Really? Well, why are they still there? What plane do you know? I'm sure you've been hanging around Logan or outside. Do planes go back and forth and crisscross? And by the way, that's pretty low. Why does this spray or fog or mist, why is it separating and dissipating? And is it affecting the rate that the sun affects us? What is this? Don't worry about why, who. Just look at this question and ask. And I defy anybody in your local mainstream media news, not a local news person, not the latest Botox Barbie and Ken standing out there trying to be
I love him. Yes.
Telling you stuff that doesn't matter. Tayla, I have a lot of friends in the media, and I've been in the news business, won an Emmy, and I appreciate people in the news, and I understand what they're doing. I have never, ever looked and waited until 5 or 6 o'clock to find out the weather. I don't even know why we do this anymore. I don't even understand. Do they know what decade this is? Fine, do the weather. Instead of having, have you heard about the UV index?
Yes.
The pollen index?
Yes.
That's great. Thanks for giving me the UV index. I appreciate that. Doppler weather. Hey, that's good. Why? Because they've got to prove their legitimacy and their sponsors. Doppler weather. Is this a Cat 5, Cat 2 hurricane? Great. Would somebody just say, oh, and by the way, I've received a lot of calls from people asking me, what are these things in the sky? Nobody will talk about them. Why? They don't even know what they are. And they won't talk about them. It's one thing if you don't know about them. But there are people who say, yeah, I see them. But I'd rather not talk about it. Why? I don't know. It just sounds, conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory? Who is conspiring here? Because that word just means something you don't know about. Conspiracy would be if the government is trying to meet with, another group to keep the truth from us. That's a conspiracy. If you and I conspire, confederate, but just because I'm keeping something from you, if your spouse is having an affair, I guess that's a conspiracy theory, or he's just a rat bastard who's just not telling you the truth. That's what this is. It's not complicated. But nobody talks about that. I don't understand it. And YouTube and these, look at Geoengineering Watch. Just listen to what he said. Do you know that in Hawaii, Hawaii, fine, how are you? Anyway, but in Hawaii, apparently somebody was noticing these things. And he started to collect rainwater for some reason.
Wow, yes.
Rainwater, because you can't even use rainwater. You can't reuse rainwater, which is a different story. But anyway, he collected his rainwater. Story. And he did an analysis on it, because his crops he's in Hawaii. He noticed super high concentrations of aluminum and barium. Why? What is this? What's aluminum connected to? What's that linked to?
That's connected to cancer as well, isn't it? Because a lot of women that use too much deodorant notice like that lymph node growing that ends up turning into breast cancer. Well, be careful with that, because sometimes lymph nodes, breast cancer, those are opportunistic sites. That's where, when there's a cancer elsewhere, look, I'm not an oncologist, but the point is, aluminum is not good. They were in our pans, it can be linked to whatever. But the point is, and I don't want to belabor the point, I want everybody listening right now. You got nutritionfactory.org, that's the first one. Read some of those, listen to this, because the information is just, I don't want some kid in the basement wearing a t-shirt and Cheeto dust giving me his opinion. I want facts. Somebody show me what this is. Nobody's talking about that. Nobody even remotely discusses this. Now,
What are we talking about today? Here's what we're talking about. Donald Trump is crazy. Donald Trump is a lunatic. Donald Trump is a jerk. Donald Trump, his university failed. Donald Trump went bankrupt. Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, said something about something, and then Eric, his son, defended Ivanka. Donald Trump's wife, Melania, may have lifted, or somebody who wrote her speech, lifted information from Michelle Obama. Melania may have been an escort or whatever. She might have been a nude model. That's all we're talking about. And that's just all Trump. Nothing about Hillary, just Trump. That's it. You know why? Because Hillary is scared witless. She's scared. And they're throwing everything at him. Have you ever had a fight with somebody in your family and they're losing and they have nothing else to say and they look at you and they go, you know what, yeah, but you were a jerk at the last Christmas party. It's like, why are you bringing that up? Because I have nothing. I'm throwing something at you. I don't have anything to say. I don't know what to say. I'm mad. I'm upset. That's what's going on now. That's all we're talking about. It's about, is he crazy? Is there dissension within the Trump ranks? Hillary, what are you offering us? Shh, quiet. Talk about Trump. Oh, okay, well, Trump, is there an intervention? Mike Pence supported Ryan. Does that mean that the Trump camp is falling apart? But what about Hillary? Shh, don't talk about Hillary. Talk about Trump. It's not working. And the reason why is because their internal polls, the polls that campaigns use, that they spend millions of dollars on, they get them daily, weekly, monthly. Not the stuff from TV, not the ABC, not the Quinnipiac and Marist and CNN, Wall Street Journal. No. They have, I don't know, that means nothing. It's the internals. She's scared. People aren't showing up to her rallies. Now, let me also explain something too. You have groups of people. You have Hillary supporters. By the way, Tayla, have you ever have you lost any friends over this election? Do you have people who've unfriended you on Facebook?
So Lionel, I've been like this for a long time. I lost friends a long time ago.
I have lost, I can't even, I just remind people, as we say in the South, bless your heart.
Bless your heart, baby. Bless your heart.
I think Hillary will be a great, but, well, you know, you're certainly entitled to your opinion. Well, you know, I see that's interesting. Well, what we're seeing right now is something very interesting. This is a very scary thing. All right, so going back to what I said, you've got the Hillary group in one camp. They're going to vote for her no matter what. No matter what. Hillary could pull a gun out and shoot Chelsea on TV. On live TV. And they say, well, you know, look, she's still better than Trump.
Chelsea deserved it. Chelsea deserved it.
Well, you never know, but she's better than Trump. Now you got the Trump people who are just as crazy. Doesn't matter what he does. Okay, fine. Here's the guy you're going to talk to. Number one, the undecided. Let's talk about a group of people, young people, millennials, who were hosed big time by Bernie Sanders. Let down, set up their hearts. They had their heart broken. It was that horrible, you know, when.
Yeah, that you're talking about me. You feel like somebody just deceived you. Like, how could you? And then he turned around and endorsed her. And you're like, why would you do that? Why?
Said from the beginning he was going to endorse. He never had
Good
his heart in
rising, love.
it.
Good rising.
He said, I'm going to endorse the Democratic nominee. He said this. He also said, I don't want to talk about these damn emails. What? They're not about emails. This guy was a sellout from the beginning, but then he kind of picked up steam and said, you know what? I'm doing okay here. Another thing he did was he's back to being an independent. He's not a Democrat. Now, let's go back to this group. the people, the millennials, I hate to keep saying, I'm not even sure who these people are. They sound like they're from another planet. They're not human. They don't breathe air. They're millennials. They live in millennium, another planet. But the millennials do not necessarily say, well, if I don't vote for Trump, I vote for Hillary. Hillary's the obvious choice. Hillary's a progressive. Hillary's a liberal. No. They're not going to vote. They're out of it. The only thing that even got their attention was Bernie, and with no Bernie, that's it. They're chasing. They feel rejected, dejected, abused. I mean, they are saying, I'm sitting this one out. That hurts Hillary. Next, second point. There's a lot of people out there who, sometimes we all want to make a statement. We want to be the counterculture. I remember when I was in college, we were libertarian because nobody really knew what a libertarian was. Translation: a Republican who wants to smoke dope. Right? So we were libertarian. And it was because when you're younger, you want to dress different, you want to be different. You tell your hey, look at me, look at Tayla, look at me, look at my clothes, look at my neck, look at me. I'm different. I'm not you. I'm authentic. I'm real. Whatever. So that's kind of sort of what the Hillary crowd was, and there's a lot of other people who feel that way too, and they're going to sit this one out. But the other group of people, the countercultures, what they do is they show their vote by voting for Trump. They're saying, you know what? I'm going to show you. There are people the more you tell people, don't see this, don't see, if ever you appeared in an appearance, let's say in your town, and you want me to pack that auditorium, I will go up there and I will say, I will lead boycotts. Do not see the TaylaAndre show. Do not. She's vile, and don't bring your kids. Kids, don't watch
not
this.
Bring your kids.
Don't listen to her. I'm telling you.
Not on Fridays.
Warm to see you. Why do you think on TV they always say this? By the way, viewer discretion is advised. We're about to show you some troubling video of a man decapitated by a lawnmower caught by drone video. Please, we're warning you, do not watch. And of course, you run to the TV.
Exactly.
So Trump has, in some pockets, I don't know how much, not that much, but enough, where people are voting for him. Third thing, the number one issue that affects you, I don't care who you are, black, white, male, female, rich, poor, whatever, is war. War. It's the ultimate. It defies borders. What NATO is doing right now on the border of Russia in our name, by instigating Putin, by demonizing him, is unconscionable. We're not talking about Grenada. We're not talking about some little podunk backwater third world country. We're talking about a nuclear superpower. Big time. Let me ask you, Dale. Ask your friends. What would you do if Russia decided to set up military bases, military installments
all over
on
the world?
Canadian and Mexican border? And they were involved all the time in exercises.
I would feel like they were doing the same thing the United States does all over the globe.
Exactly. We went ape crazy in the 60s with Russia in Cuba. They had nuclear weapons. So we thought, which is true, but you can't do that. We were going to go to war, and just because they were there, okay. So what did Trump do? And I'm not voting for anybody. Let me just make this clear. I'm abstaining. I'm voting for me.
This is a white man.
Lotus.
This is a white
Lionel
man
of the United States. Lotus for POTUS. I'm writing my name in. That's it. I'll vote. I'll go vote, but not for any of these clowns.
This is a white man speaking.
A waste of time. But Trump said, I'm going to talk to Putin. I'm going to talk to him in China. How dare you? How dare you? Reagan did it. He was a genius. Nixon did it. He was a genius. I don't understand this. What do you mean, don't talk to him? So that's what they're actually saying. Now, let me ask you this question. Let's assume you found somebody sent you compromising pictures of a loved one, your significant other. And you opened the letter and you saw these horrible pictures in the act. And your significant other said, wait a minute, who sent those to you? The question is, I don't give a damn who sent them. Is this you in this picture? Wait a minute, I know who sent those. It's my rival, my whatever. Nowhere in the world would you say, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to be upset by those pictures that I see of you betraying my trust because they were sent to me
by your ex-girlfriend, by your ex-wife, trying to break us up. It doesn't matter. It was you engaged in the act, period. You're absolutely I hate to cut you off, but we currently have a call on the line, and I really want to make sure that we get to all the questions. Good rising, caller. You're live. Good rising. Do me a shut your radio off for me, baby. We got that feedback. That's super fantastic. Thank you, Papa.
I'm just listening to this woman, and I'm just listening to the direction.
Oh, hold on, Papa. This is Lionel. Lionel is not a woman. He is a man. He is a man. So let me clarify for you. Lionel of LionelMedia.com, Lotus, Lionel of the U.S. He is an Emmy Award winning and the bravest man in media.
That's okay.
First and foremost,
I'm not transgender. I'm not.
You're talking to other people, and your opinion is your opinion, but that may not be the opinion of others. And to push your beliefs on other people, I mean, we get enough of that as it is on the field.
Hold on, I'm confused because Lionel's not speaking opinion. Anything that came out of his mouth is fact, unless he said my personal belief or my opinion. So I'm trying to understand, baby, why are you angry though? Why are you angry? You do, but you don't have the freedom to call up here and when we're having positive conversations about things that matter in this universe. And what belief is actually troubling to you? What did he say to you that had you call up here angry though?
What he was saying is his beliefs. Not that doesn't necessarily mean it's everybody else.
Let me ask this question if I could.
You're talking about Trump, or you're talking about right. And I don't care about none of those people, man. But I do know.
Let me ask you this question: how are you supposed to have an opinion show without people giving their opinion?
That's what it's all about. That's what the democracy is all about. Being able to just where everything that you just said, me unsaying it, is my right.
Well, no,
am I correct?
You don't have a right. Of course, it's your right.
All right.
Are you under the belief that somebody is telling you that you don't have a right? You know, you respect.
Okay, so I'm not engaging in this, baby. We're not doing that today. That's not gonna happen. I don't know what he said, and I asked you a question. The question is, what did he say that got your feathers so riled up? And he gave his opinion, and that's fine. You're giving your opinion. The question at hand that I would like for you to answer in one sentence, if possible, is what was said that pissed you off? So
he's gonna, that you're telling people to do that.
No, I never said that.
That's not the way. That's not the way, man. You realize how many people
that was never said.
Okay, so yeah, that was never said. You can always go back and listen to the show. What he said was he is going to engage in voting, but Lionel is voting. Lotus is voting for POTUS. So Lionel is voting for himself. He didn't say don't vote. He said what I'm doing. Go ahead, Lionel. Go ahead.
No. I never said don't vote. It was just ridiculous. No, I never said that. But listen, that's the way that sometimes it's great when people are enraged. Daniel Patrick Moynihan, the senator from New York, said, you're entitled to your own opinion, but not your own facts. And when people confuse themselves with, somebody, like, who are you to give your opinion? Well, I'm you. But the thing is, the most important part, and this is really going to bother you, this system is so rigged. Always put your money on the status quo. Always put your money on the corporate candidate. Always put your money on the Clintons. Always put who counts the votes, who are the companies that put the machines out, how are the votes counted, are these electronic votes, who controls the conventions, who controls superdelegates, who controls where the debates are. Isn't it interesting that the debates are on a Sunday against NFL? How do you think that happened? Who's in charge of the debate committee? Hillary's people. Was it Mike? Not Mike McCarthy. It was people from the Democrats are running or in charge of the actual sequencing of the debate. If you're going to debate somebody, and by the way, Trump will go after her throat. I mean, and let me just say something. I think Trump is a horrible candidate. Horrible. I don't want him speaking on my behalf. He has anger issues. He can't. I don't think he knows enough or wants to know enough. He thinks it's all bravado and brio, and that's not the way to run a country. But wouldn't you love to see him against Hillary? I mean, she never had a competitor. Never. Bernie never did anything. You know, so what's interesting to note about this is that there's so much of this that is rigged. I mean, absolutely rigged. The whole thing is. Now let me ask you a question. What do you guys think about Bill Wells, who was the VP running with Gary Johnson? He was the mayor of your great state, the governor of your great state. What are people saying about Wells?
So I've heard mixed reviews from some of the elders. I've heard that he was a horrible governor. From the other side, I heard that we had a surplus of funds. We weren't in our deficit. So I've heard mixed reviews. I heard that he was an a-hole that no one liked, and then I heard that it didn't matter if anybody liked him because he got things done. So I heard various things about him. But Lionel, we do have another caller on a third line. Good rise. Oh no, we don't. They hung up. You know what I wanted to ask you, because we're coming to the top of the hour, and I didn't realize that the time that we had together was running out so quickly. With you being the bravest man in media and seeing the status quo of media and seeing how everybody is following this suit of, you know, follow the leader. I don't know if you remember that video that came out on YouTube, and it was like 17 different media personalities saying the exact same thing. And it was just like, so with that, you know, that's the structure of media today. When we went from over 50 individual networks, corporations that own media to only 6 corporations that currently own media, how do you, or what makes you stand outside the box? Instead of doing the status quo, like you said, go with the status quo. What makes you stand outside that box and say, listen, I'm not engaging?
Well, I don't know what my moment was. You had your moment of breastfeeding. You know, there's always that little, first time you see a kind of a chink in the armor, you see something that's fundamentally wrong with the system. Mine was 9/11. That's when I wasn't paying attention. Just wasn't. I mean, I just kind of assumed. But here's the good news. The good news is that when the internet, as W would say, came along, it provided new platforms, new levels of engagement, new players in a world, and the mainstream media, the sheeple, the Ted Baxter, sock puppet. By the way, you may not remember this, but Mary Tyler Moore was a great sitcom. And there was a fellow named Ted Baxter. Ted Baxter was about a local news show. And Ted Baxter was the anchor. Ted Baxter was the buffoon, the idiot, the fool, the stuffed shirt, the empty suit, the blowhard, before Ron Burgundy, before these clowns that you see today. They all sound constipated. Good evening, Action 10 News. And they sound, you know, constipated and bilious. And they just, well, anyway, Ted Baxter presaged and predicted the future of this. This is when Walter Cronkite was still in okay, so I refer to the Ted Baxter sock puppet, echo chamber, cookie cutter, bumper sticker, playbook media. They're not reporters, they're repeaters. They're handed the information to repeat it. Just say it. Don't talk about Ukraine, don't talk about Crimea, don't talk about things that don't matter, just say this. Good news is that that model is being destroyed. As we speak, different platforms are coming about, and people are changing, and thanks to shows like yours, and the internet, social media, and blogs, and podcasts, and just a host of other avenues, people, and foreign and alternative media, people are seeing the truth. So that is the good news. It looks like we are abutting the top of the hour, Madame.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. And we do have that caller that called back. Good rising, caller. You're live. Anytime, baby. How are you?
All right, wonderful, wonderful. What on earth was that other guy angry about? That was weird. I don't know. Don't say. What conversation were you listening to? Anyway, yeah, Lionel, I'd just like to commend you on your bravado, not your bravado, your bravery.
Well, thank you. It's the truth.
We'll let Trump do the bravado thing.
Right.
You know, and Tayla, thank you for everything that you do. I'm working the morning shift again, so I get to listen to you again. So
Awesome. Yay!
your bonus. Anyway, yeah, I just want to chime in that, man, you know, people are waking up, and it's a great day. So everybody out there, don't get upset about the Hillary and Trump thing. It's really
Bless your
It's
heart.
like the pink elephant in the room right now. Everyone's walking. It's so visited on people. You look at people's faces as they're walking down the street, and you're like, you know, you remember third world countries and other Eastern European countries that were affected by elections, and it was always a thing where I like, well, how are they affected by the election? You know, because we've lived in such a great democracy here, and we never really have to deal with that. But right now, I just want to say this is probably one of the closest things we can actually that will be reminiscent to something of that. I think a lot of people who migrated to America remember horrific elections like that in the process. But there was a lot of violence, and there was a lot of violence involved in this one. Not as bad as the others that we have read about and heard about years ago. But
I love
don't know,
Karen
I think we're
Hunter,
in
though. I would
unprecedented times
love
right
to work
now,
with her.
and, everybody just stay woke, keep reading, exercise, eat right, and yeah, don't believe everything the media tells you, man. Go out there, research yourself. Yeah, and I think a lot of that's what's going on right now. We are in the information age, and yeah, everybody have a great day.
Thank you, baby. We love and appreciate you. Hope you have an amazing day today. Lionel, how you doing, baby?
Oh, me. I'm sorry.
There's only one of you on the line.
I wasn't sure whom you were speaking with. You know, let me just leave you with this. This is important. Whatever you do, never bore people. Whatever you do, never bore them. You'll never bore them. Keep doing what you're doing. The worst thing for you to, like the one caller is so emblematic of so many people who are so angry and they're not sure what, because what you're doing is, when you remind people of how little they know, when you let people just have a glimpse into how horrible the world is, and they knew nothing about it, rather than say, you know what, Tayla, thank you. Thank you for teaching me. No. They'll call up and say, who in the hell do you think you are with your opinion? Because that's when you hit pay dirt. That's when you made an impression. When people react negatively. But the people who are nodding their heads in approbation, those individuals who approve of what you're saying, you'll never hear from them. But they're there. And I want to thank you. Let's do this again. Please follow me at Lionel Media and LionelMedia.com. And I have enjoyed this immensely.
Lionel, I love you so much. I appreciate you, and you make me feel like I'm not crazy. Because I've been, in my whole life, I've always gone against the grain. And when you hear other media personalities like, Tayla, what are you doing? You're putting your foot in your mouth. You're ruining this. You're ruining that. Like, you're not making a way for yourself. You just stick to the grain and go with the grain and everything will work out. I'm like, I cannot fall for something because it defies everything I stand for. And so you make me feel normal, Lionel. You make me feel like everything that I feel, everything that I'm saying, or the truth that I'm spitting is for a reason. I don't feel like I'm in vain anymore.
Indeed. It was such a pleasure. Let us do it again and keep up the good fight, Tayla. Always a pleasure. Have a great day.
You as well. You as well. Love and appreciate you. Hope you have an amazing day today. That is Lionel Media. Please look him up. Follow him on Twitter. You will learn more than you ever thought you could just following his Twitter, or you can just head straight over to his website, LIONEL Media, MEDIA.com. It's Lionel Media, Lotus, Lionel of the U.S. He is an Emmy Award-winning, the bravest man in media. He is a Renaissance lawyer, an actor, a vegan, a legal analyst, a news decoder, an edutainer, and he is absolutely amazing, and I love me some him. Really quickly, I want to take this call because I know the caller is mad. Like, Tayla, don't let people give their opinion. But this is opinion show. If you didn't like the fact that he said that he is not engaging in this, and I think that's really what made him mad, the previous caller, what really upset him, I believe, is the fact that Lionel said, I'm not voting for Hillary and I'm not voting for Trump. I'm writing myself in. And I've been saying that since the beginning of this election. I'm not voting for either one of them. I was going to vote for Bernie, but Bernie's not going to do anything. I'm voting for my damn self because, yes, my ancestors died. So I fought and got bit and got whipped and got killed and hung and went through the, you want to go down the list of what's happened to our ancestors? We don't have to. I know the history. I know where we've been in order to be where we are today. But my grandmother taught me one thing. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I'm not going to sit here and vote for Hillary because of Trump being an idiot. Well, if you don't vote for Hillary, Trump's going to win. Well, Tayla ain't engaging in that. I have no dog in that fight. I'm voting myself in. Because I think I am more qualified than Clinton. I mean, more qualified than Trump. And I think I'm more honest than Clinton. So, does she have experience? Absolutely. She has years of lying experience. Does she have litigation experience? She sure does. She also has experience with defending a child molester. And then if you ask me, she laughed about it. She laughed about getting that child molester off. You don't believe me? Go look it up. When Hillary Clinton was a young lawyer, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I don't care what age she was. You make bad decisions at a young age, absolutely. But at some point in time, you say, you know, that was a really dumb decision. I wish I could have taken that back. But when you don't even address it, you don't have no care, no concern. That was the biggest concern for me. When Hillary Clinton, I listened to an interview she did when she was a young attorney. And she was talking about the man she got off that raped a 13-year-old child. And that man served no time in prison for his crime because Hillary Clinton was his defender. If you're willing to defend a rapist against a 13-year-old, you're not willing to defend the American people against all of the evils or whatever else that may be in the world that you're supposed to defend us towards. It's not going to happen. If you couldn't defend an innocent 13-year-old, then you're not fit. For me, you're not fit to defend the American people. You're not fit to be our head of state. When you were the first lady, you were the Secretary of State, you knew what you weren't supposed to do, but you have a private server? I don't want to hear it. Where's Haiti's money? You want to go down the list of transgressions? Or you want to sit here and talk about the good that she did? When Hillary came out, she was against gay marriage. She said marriage is between a man and a woman. She didn't say, I believe marriage is between a man and a woman, but fundamentally, I think that people in love should be together. She didn't say that. Because you can have that, that's not double-minded for you to say my personal feelings, my personal beliefs, but on behalf of my constituents, I think this is something that needs to be passed, even though it doesn't agree with me. Guess what? There's a lot of things that I don't agree with either, but I do understand that for other people, it may be beneficial. So if I'm not going to vote on it because of my personal beliefs, I'm going to take into account the people who put me in my position and what this means to them. Go back, listen to who Hillary was before Bernie came along and gave her the mouthpiece that she needed to get the people going. That's all she did, was sit here and take everything out of Bernie's mouth and start spewing it herself. And she was like, oh, you guys want to follow me? I can say the same thing he can say. I can say it. I can. Just follow me. Vote for me. I'm a woman. Feminism. Yay. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I ain't no fool. Not I, said the fly. We are at the top of the hour, but I do want to take this call. The Rising Caller, you're live. Hi, good rising, baby.
One of the things that you said, as a defense attorney, regardless if a person is guilty or innocent, your job is to defend them regardless. So I'm not going to agree with you on that point.
So let me ask you a question. Can you decide not to represent someone?
I guess so.
So if I was your client and I said something that you don't fundamentally, like your core belief does not believe what I just said, and you're like, listen, you know, my morals won't let me take this case. I don't want to take this case.
As a defense attorney, there are cases that you wouldn't believe in, but it's your job.
This was a favor. This was a favor she did. It was a favor that she did for a friend to get this man off. And she could have walked away from the case. She could have said no.
Somebody has to do the case, right?
So why not her?
Yes. That's her job.
What I would like for you to do me a favor. I want you to go listen to the interview. This is what I like for you to do. Because the fact is, I get it. That was her job. She did her job. Good job. Thumbs up. She did a great job. She got him off. Go listen to the video. Call me back tomorrow. Go listen to the interview. Call me back tomorrow and see if you have the same position that you have today.
I will still have the same position. That's her job.
Okay.
Good morning.
You as well, baby. You don't have to agree, but you definitely can call. Good rising, Big City 101.3 FM, waking up with TaylaAndre. Today's show was absolutely amazing. I know we completely went off topic because with Lionel, you don't know what road you're about to go down. But we have Lionel Media, Lionel Media, Media, Lotus, Lionel of the U.S. He is an Emmy award-winning bravest man in media. And he's a Renaissance lawyer, an actor, a vegan, a legal analyst, a decoder of the news, an edutainer, and he is absolutely amazing. I want to thank you, the listeners. I want to thank you, the viewers. And I want to thank our sponsors, ZC Boston, 801 Mass Ave, free parking all day long, 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours for lunch, 3 hours for dinner. Delivery until 1 a.m. They are open until 2 a.m. every single day. $10 lunch specials that will fill you up, beef, chicken, or fish. Faith's Naturals Beauty, Face with an S, Naturals with an S, beauty.com. Please, ladies, get your pum wash. I promise it will rebalance your pH. It makes you feel fresh and soft, and there's nothing else that you should be using on your vajayjay other than Faith's Naturals. Because everything in it is natural. Your skin is the largest organ on your body, and anything that you put on it, it eats it up, literally. It eats it up, it soaks it up, it absorbs it. So if you're putting some type of chemical that you have no idea even how to pronounce onto your skin, guess what? That is internally, it's going into your body. So if you want to go ahead and use all natural products, a local business, a Black-owned business, a Bostonian business, please hit up Faith's Naturals, beauty.com, Faith's with an S, Naturals with an S, beauty.com, the detox wash, the hair milk, the rose-infused oil, the souffles, the tooth whiteners. I love all of her products. I advise you to try all of her products, and I guarantee you will love all of her products. Last but not least, do not forget your medical marijuana evaluation. You can get, dispensaries are opening this summer. Schedule your evaluation today for an MMJ certification. And you can go ahead and they do medical marijuana certifications. Book your appointment today, 774-517-5195. That's 820 Pearl Street in Brockton, Massachusetts. Tell them Tayla Andre sent you in order for you to get your $25 off. Again, that is $25 off your evaluation and certificate for MedWell Health and Wellness Centers and 820 Pearl Street, Brockton, Mass. Their Facebook is MedWell Health, and their email is appointment or appt@medwellhealth.net. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have an amazing day today. You know what tomorrow is, right? Yes, baby. Yes. When Lionel said it better not bring your kids, I was like, he must listen to the show for real. Better not bring your kids on Friday. Freaky Friday. Waking up with TaylaAndre. Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 7. Mwah! Love you. Appreciate you. Have an amazing day, baby. Uh-oh.
Yep, that's right, baby. You know what it is? It's DJ Sus1, the feature presentation. Listen, make sure you wake up with TaylaAndre Monday through Friday, 5 to 7 a.m. on Big City 101.3 FM. Wake up with the Radio Rebel. Politics, news, conspiracies. Wake up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. This is the type of stuff I'm into, all right? Make sure you tune in. Let's go.
So I love Lionel. I really do. I love Lionel. And I said it on air, and I'm going to say it again. Lionel makes me feel normal. He makes me feel as if everything that I think and feel about as far as media is concerned, as far as the news is concerned, as far as politics is concerned, like we have some very similar beliefs in our opinions. And we got work to do, and I love the way he said it. You know, if you want to fix the system, don't be a part of the system. And that's what I noticed as far as we are concerned. And I mean all of us, the 99%, not the black percent, not the white percent, but the 99%. One of the things that I noticed about the 99% is that we want change so bad. And then the mayor will approach us with a job, and we're like, yes, I can change the system. And then you get into work and you find out that you're not there to change. You're there to shut the fuck up. You're there so you can stop being a pain in my ass. When the city starts giving you jobs, when the state starts giving you jobs, it's because they want you to shut the fuck up. They want you to sit your ass down somewhere and let us do what we're doing. So let me go ahead and give you this little .gov.city of Boston, and you can feel special being in circle, but you ain't really in circle because you can't change nothing. I'm kind of right now, like I'm feeling some type of way for John Barrows, because you know I'll jump on John Barrows all day long. I ain't got no problem saying it. How you gonna be from the hood, be from the community, Dudley this, DS&I that, and then turn around and leave your people? How do you do that? This isn't a private conversation. This isn't this is the same shit I'll talk to John about. Like, how you just gonna leave your people like that and never come back to Dudley? You gonna ever come back? You coming back to the hood, or you gonna stay at City Hall? And I'm kind of feeling like he should have never went and worked for the city, because had he not worked for the city, he'd be out here grassroots in it, talking all types of shit about the mayor, talk all types of shit about the system. And for Lionel to say, listen, you want to change the system? Don't be a part of the system. You want to change the city? You better not get that .boston.gov. You want to change the state? Don't get that ma.gov. Stay outside of the system. So let me go ahead and be a little transparent. I interned. Prior to interning for Big City, I started my internship with Ayanna Presley. City councilor at large, Ayanna Presley. Absolutely love her to death. I love her soul. I love her spirit. I love her fight. I think she is one of the most motivational speakers. Like, she could be a motivational speaker, $25,000 a speech. She's that dope. And I interned for her. And like during that internship, you know, Tayla let's shake up the world real quick. And there's there's policy and there's procedure and there's a way of doing things, Tayla. You can't, just go out and fuck up shit. Like, it don't work like that. And Jessica, who is City Councilor Ayanna Presley's chief of staff, Jessica sat me down one day and she was like, Tayla, there's two types of people in the world. There's people that sit behind a desk and push papers, and there's people that stand outside the door and kick it down. She was like, I don't see you being one of the ones to sit behind a desk pushing papers around. And I kind of I felt mind you, this was like 4 years ago. I felt some type of way about that. Like, I'm not good enough to be city councilor at large. I'm not good enough to be governor. I'm not good at, like, I took it some way at that time. And now reflecting, I see that my efforts would be in vain if I had a .gov. My efforts would be in vain if I had a city of Boston .gov. Like, it would be completely in vain, because I'd be getting paid a couple $60,000, $70,000 to sit back, push papers, and not do what needs to be done. And that's being outside, kicking down some doors, talking about some let us in, us, be in the community. I am not an elected official, but I do feel like I have constituents. I'm not like a city council. Like, I have no status. I have no title, but I do feel like I have constituents. I feel like I have people that I represent, and we need to be in those spaces. We need our folding chairs so we can sit at that table. We need to have our voices heard. And I honestly do believe that Jessica was 100% right, that I cannot be behind a desk pushing papers, but I can be kicking down some doors trying to alter legislation. But it needs not to just be me. Like, everybody's voice has to be heard. And if you haven't seen Horton Hears a Who in a while, maybe you should go back, because one voice does nothing, but the conglomerate of voices, all of our voices at the top of our lungs saying, give me this, and actually having a clear, concise plan. First and foremost, that's what we need, a clear and concise plan before we go out into the streets yelling and screaming about what we want. We look crazy as fuck out here. I can't tell you how many friends, white friends that I have that are like, can you tell me, what is Black Lives Matter? What do they do and what do they want? Because I don't really understand, Tayla. And I'm like, in all honesty, my only response to that is, it's like being an adopted child or a stepchild, and you look different than everybody else in the family. You know you're loved. You know you're appreciated. You know that, you're wanted. They adopted you, for crying out loud. So you know you're wanted there. But there's something that's missing. There's something that lacks. When all the other kids get, fudgicles, you get a lollipop. When all the kids get, like, and it's always a deficit for you. And you're like, they're like, you should be happy. Like, we provide for you. We make sure you're good. You have a roof over your head. Like, we show you love. Like, what else do you want? And as that adopted child, as that stepchild, you're like, I can't verbalize. I don't know how to verbalize the thing that I want, but I do see that there is a difference between me and everybody else. And I just want what everybody else has. I want what everybody else gets. And to be 100% honest with you, I'm not an adoptive child. I'm not. I am a stepchild. I'm my dad's stepchild, my mother's husband. They've been married for 30 years. So I was a little girl when he came into my life, but my mom is one of the light Cape Verdeans. My mother looks white. Don't get it twisted, because she'll flip on your ass in a second, but my mother looks white. And so she married a white man. My brothers and sisters are half Cape Verdean, half white. They look white. So I am in that space where I'm like, I know I'm loved. I know I'm taken care of, but there's something different. And I don't know what that difference is, but I want to feel included. I want to feel the same. And that was nail on the head. That was my feelings as a child. And that's the only way that I know how to explain Black Lives Matter to a white person. It's a feeling of inclusion that is not there. And it's not something that can be verbalized. Because aside from the killings, aside from, police brutality, there is something there. You accept me into your workplace, but yet you don't invite me to the birthday party. Like, there's something to be said there when that inclusion is so limited. We need to be clear and concise on what it is that we want, so we're not out here yelling and screaming, we want. And then they're like, okay, shut the fuck up. What do you want? And you're like, reparations? That was the dumbest. Who was in charge of Black Lives Matter? That was the dumbest shit you could have said. What kind of, in the form of what? In the form of what? What kind of reparations do you want? It just, to me, it didn't make sense for it to be such an amazing organization out here in the streets doing grassroots work. But what are you really doing? I went on a tangent. My apologies. My apologies. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have an amazing day today. And I can't wait for Freaky Friday. Oh, yeah. Last but not least, I am truth, love, and compassion. I sure am. I am all of these things. Coleman G. Howard. Please look him up. He is located in Atlanta. He is the creator of the shirts that are like, Black girls need love too, and just great sayings that are positive and get people's minds going, and they're great conversation starters. Don't forget to check out Allah. Allah is in Dudley, on Dudley Street, right next to the fire station, and his shirts are Roxbury against gentrification, Roxbury against everyone else, 617. I've been wearing the t-shirts. I wish I could wear that t-shirt every day. I can't tell you. When I go into spaces, I get so much love and hate at the same damn time, because my people dap me out like, yo, you from Roxbury? I love Roxbury. I got a 35% discount off of wearing that damn t-shirt. And then you get a lot of hate wearing it too, because people feel some type of way when they're in Roxbury but live all the way in Newton, Needham, what was that? Concord. That's the one I was trying to think of. When they live all out, and then they come into the city and sit in Roxbury and Dudley Cafe and everywhere else and look at you like you crazy. Roxbury against gentrification. You weren't here when we needed you. Don't be here now. But those are my personal feelings. And the caller said, listen, your opinion don't matter. All opinions matter. I love you. I appreciate you. I hope you guys have an amazing day.